Hello Internet, welcome back to the channel. Long time no see. It has been like more than a month from the last release, and I hope that the waiting was worth it, because we have a lot of new features to cover in 2.4, and I believe a lot of game changers. So follow the video to discover the new features added in Advanced Themer. So the first feature that I want to cover with you guys is the version 2 of the grid builder. You can see here in the changelog we have a lot of things to cover. So let's directly jump back on the builder, and I'm going to show you the new features of version 2 of the grids. So I created a section with fixed 6 static blocks here. We are going to apply, on the content, or I already added grid, but we are going to open the grid builder now. You see that something I've changed. The first one is, you see that the icon 1, 2, 3 here are on the top center, not on the corner anymore. Why? Because now all the 4 corners can be used to resize your item. So you can go from the bottom, you can go from the top, and same thing from the left here. And you can move, of course. Let's move here, and the left bottom as well. Okay, now the icon on the top, if you want to remove the style, is from here too. And see a new icon here, clear view. Before we are forced to click clear on the child settings. Now you can clear the view from the grid itself, and it will come back to the global view. Okay, let me pick up my notes, otherwise I don't know what to cover. Okay, you see that we have now a new option on the right in the parent settings: use min-max and fill empty cells. Fill empty cells I will cover in a moment, but let's talk about use min-max. It has been a request from I'm going to change my screen to automatically convert the values on the column, the grid template columns and the grid templates rows, automatically convert these values inside the min-max function. Why? Because it makes it more responsive. If you use 1FR, which is the standard, the more easy way to create columns and rows in CSS Grid, the best practice is to wrap this value inside a min-max function, because when you deal with small devices, 1FR, just using 1FR, could create some overflow issues. Using my min-max function will assure you that the item won't overflow the max width of the container. So if we now click on use min-max and apply our grids, let's apply the grids and see which value have been added. You see that all our 1FR have been wrapped inside the min-max function. These 4 columns and also 4 rows. Okay, so you don't have to manually type them inside the grid builder anymore. To understand the fill empty cells, we have to talk about the span values, which is one of the big updates in version 2. And I'll show you what I mean with span value. If I click on, let's say, this second one, let's make it active, I can of course change and drag and drop the value here. Let's make it 3. But you see that we are dealing with static values. What I mean by static values is we are saying that block number 2, you have to expand from the column 2 to the column 5, and from the row 1 to the row 2. Okay, it's static. There is another way, a dynamic way to say, I won't tell you in which column to start and which column to end, and which row start to which row to start and which row to end. But I'm going to say, you block, you have to expand for 3 columns. Okay, wherever you are on the grid, you have to be 3 on the 3 on the columns and only 1 on the row. And for doing that, you need to use span values. And you see we have a new option. If I hover it there on the right, enable span. If I click on it, we can now use span values. If I enter 1, you see that my my block is now 1. If I enter 2, it will take 2, 3, it will take 3, etc., etc. Okay? Why is it important? I'm going to show you why. Maybe let me check. Okay, no, it's good. Here. Okay. I'm going to remove this and I'm going to say 1. Okay, normal. So now we are saying that when you are here, when the block is encountered inside the grid, we are going to tell the dimension that this block will have, not the position that it will have. Okay, and I will show you what exactly it means, because if I say 2, it worked, 3, it worked, but if I go 4, I'm saying basically take all the 4 rows to expand, but you see that we are creating now empty values. Why? Because there is not enough space for this block to take, and these ones are left empty. Okay, but there is a way. Let me add a row more, just to include this one. There is a way to say, hey, if there are empty values, we want the next one, the next item, to fill the empty spaces and have a compact, dense grid. We just have to activate this option, fill empty cells, and you see that the children that are available to fill the grid will come before our second block. And now it works correctly. If I resize my column span, it will come back on the first one because there is enough space to be spanned on the first row. Okay? So the fill empty space, I hope you understand the difference, the utility of using fill empty space when dealing with column spans or row spans. Of course, these have no effect if you are using static values like row start, row end, column start, column end. But if you are going to use span, you are going to use this. And I'm going to describe why using span values, which are dynamics values, can be really useful if you are going to create dynamic patterns for your classes and query loops. I'm going to talk about it in a moment. Right now, these are the new options on the ID level. Okay, just a couple of things I want to show you. We can now reset the styles from the menu here. It's exactly the same as the little arrow on the grid. You can do this from the style here. And we can also jump on the element inside the bricks builder. So for example, if you have a lot of items and you are confused which one is exactly referring the grids and you want to see the element, you can just click on view element here and it will activate the element, the right element, it is the third one, inside the bricks builder. Okay? So I believe that the last thing I want to show you from the ID level is a new option to generate better grid. This option is, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, it's experimental. It will give random results because under the hood, the calculation to fit the grid is extremely complex, and it's not 100% results guaranteed. So I'm going to show you that it kind of work on simple grids. It makes more random results on 20 columns and rows, and this is getting really messed up. But if you are dealing with simple grids like a 3x3 now, the results are quite predictable. But let's see what I mean by generate better grids. Let's click on it, and you see that automatically it created a random dimension and position of the grid that fit the grid. So let's re-click on generate better grids, and you see now it regenerated another one, but there is an issue. You see that the grid guides are not aligned with all items. Why? Because probably this one is overflowing. In fact, it says row span 2, but it should say row span 1. And now, let's clear the view. Now the guides are aligned, and you can just modify the grid as you wish. And now you see that the grid is perfect. Okay, so that is why the results are not 100% predictable. But you can continue clicking. You see, for example, these one are correct. This one is not correct. Just needs a bit of fix. But if you keep clicking on it, it will ultimately generate random bento grids that adapt to the grid. Okay, nice to have. And you can play with it, but of course not mandatory as a feature. Okay, let's close now for the static blocks. I want to add this element now, and I'm going to talk about the query loops and the classes. So I'm going to remove that one. Okay, I'm just going to focus on this one. Okay. So I have a block here, and I activate a query loop, a really simple query loop that is querying my post. And I have a heading, a basic text, and a button for each one, and an image, a background image beside each post. Okay, now I want to activate the grid builder. So let's make it, let's go to the container, let's make it a grid, and let's open the grid builder. Okay, you will see some differences between the ID level and the classes and the query loops. So we have still the fill empty cells and the use min max, like explained before, but now we have also repeat grids and replace CSS automatically. I'm going to speak first about replace automatically. So let's say I want to apply, let's make it a 3-column grid. Okay, and I'm just going to apply this like this. Okay, my grid is applying. I'm going to check the CSS, the generated CSS, and you see that now we have a new command row end of grid builder, which is necessary to pass the replacing script that I'm going to show you right now, because in the previous version, when dealing with query loops and classes, you had to manually open the CSS control and delete manually every time you wanted to refresh, to regenerate new CSS conditions, right? And it was a pain to manually manage your CSS. Now in version 2, you see that if I reopen my grid builder and I want to change it to 4 columns, for example, and let's remove a row, I'm going to apply again my builder. 4 columns I've applied. I'm going to reopen the CSS, and you see, oh wow, what happens? There are now two different declarations. It works because it is the last one. But I wanted to remove the first one. Okay, how do I do that? I need to activate the replace CSS automatically. Okay, if I now apply this and apply the grid, let's come back to the CSS. And now there is some empty rows, but our last CSS condition have been applied, and all the old one have been removed correctly. So you don't have to think, oh, I need to remove my previous conditions. It's all done automatically if you use the new feature in version 2. Okay, but now let's come to the really interesting part, which is the repeat grid. So if you activate this option, let's activate everything, by the way. We are going to not only create a static grid, we are going to create a dynamic grid. What I mean by this is we are going to create some rules in the CSS that will repeat itself independently of the number of the children. So, for example, we are using a post query loop on the post right now with, I believe, 10 posts. But the pattern that we are going to create will be replicated also if there are 20 posts or 30 posts. It doesn't matter. Okay? And to do that, we are going to use the remove and add cell feature. So since we are using query loops and classes that can be applied on different elements, we don't know the number of children could change from one element to another, or from one query to another. So what we want to do is to create a pattern, not a static grid. And to do that, we are going to remove the cells. I'm going to create a pattern on 3 columns. And I'm going to repeat on 2 rows. So I'm going to do, add cells here, remove the row, and I want to expand my first one. Okay. And let's remove again, remove 2 cells. And I'm going to expand the last one. And I want, I want this pattern to repeat each 4 items. So I will have an alternate design of my query loops. Okay? If I don't have, let's add it like this. If I apply it now, it won't work exactly as expected. And I'm going to explain you why. Let's apply it. You see that the first row is working fine. The first 2 are working fine, but the 3 last one are not working. Why? Because we are using static values on each children. Let's make it clear. Let's go in the CSS. Let's open the CSS. And you see that we are using a new nth style pattern. So we are saying for each 4 items, target the first one and set it on the first row and the first column. Okay? The problem is we are not using span here, we are using static values. So each time the pattern repeats, it will always put the first item on top of each other on the first item. Okay? And the same thing goes with this one, the 4th. The pattern is each 4 items, the 4th one, we are going to expand it in this exact column. So the problem is the more posts you have, it will get on top of each other on the exact same position of the grid. To solve this problem, we need to use span. So let's come back to the contents. Let's open the grid builder. I'm going to remove the auto-generated cells. Let's come back to our pattern, which is 4 items, perfect. But we don't want to use static values, but dynamic values here. So I'm going to change the column start to column end in span. And I'm going to set to span to wherever the child item is present inside the grid. The instruction is you need to expand to, okay? Without giving any indication of the position, we are just indicated the dimension that this item need to have inside the grid, okay? And I'm going to make the same thing for the row. I'm just saying you need to be on one row, not two row, not two row, but one row, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing here. I don't want to put you on the column, specific column start and column end. I just want you to expand to when you are present in the DOM, okay? And I'm going to shape the row start to 1. Okay, so if I now apply the grid, you'll see that our pattern that repeats only 4 items is respected also in the following items as well, okay? And if we inspect the CSS, we open here, you see that the condition is still the same. It will repeat the condition each 4 items and targets the first one and the last one. But for each one, it will span instead of using static values. With this way of creating dynamic grid, you can create any pattern that you want, and it will reflect on the number of posts you have in your query loops or your classes. This is super powerful, guys. You can do really, really nice stuff using dynamic values inside your grid builder. Okay, let me check if I have anything to add, but I believe it's everything. Okay, since we have a lot of things to cover, I'm going to stop here and go to the next feature. Okay, let's talk about the new feature in Advanced Themer 2.4, which is the new global query manager and the global query manager, which, as you can see from the thumbnail, it's really similar to the class manager of AT, and the global query loop dropdown. So basically, this opened the way of global query loops because instead of using query loops on the ID level like we are doing right now in bricks, that means that for each query loop you have to set manually the settings over and over. Now you will be able to save these queries inside your global manager and reuse them over and over on all your pages. And if you have any modification to do to the global query loop, it will apply over the whole website. Okay, so this is really a game changer if you are using, of course, a lot of query loops. If you are using just 1 or 2 on your website, it might be not worth it, but in general, if your website is query loop angry, this is a game changer feature. So to apply it, you need to go in the top bar and you see global query manager. Enable it. You see that it's in orange because like it's written here, I'm going to read it. The orange settings require AT to be installed in order to work correctly. It's not safe to enable them if you plan to disable AT once you finish building this site. So this is really important, right? All the process, all the scripts used by Advanced Themer are necessary to run your global query loops. If you decide to uninstall Advanced Themer while you use global queries on your website, they will stop working, right? So as I always say, Advanced Themer is not meant to be disabled after the build. It's a suite of tools that improves your general use of bricks and your website as a whole, and should be considered as any plugins that you install on WordPress. Okay, Advanced Themer is no exception from the rest of the other plugins. If you uninstall Advanced Themer, many of these interesting features will be disabled as well, and it will have consequences on your frontend. If you disable Bricks Extra or ACSS or other things like that, your frontend will be messed up, of course. The same thing applies to Advanced Themer, but if you are not going to use these particular features, you are missing cool stuff. So up to you. But my advice is to keep it installed and enjoy the full power of Advanced Themer, of course. So let's jump back in the builder, and we are going to manipulate the queries and make it global. So first of all, you will see that there is a new icon, in the top bar, the query manager item. Let's click on it, and it will open our manager, which is really similar to the class manager. So you can add new queries here. If I had it add new query, it will add a new query with the name. You can give it a description. You can add your query bars. You can delete it, of course. You can add it to the category, and do everything from here. Of course, you can write your vars here, but you will need some knowledge, some coding knowledge of all WP queries are working inside WordPress. If you are confident with it, you can just go on and write your own queries from the code here. It's exactly the same principle that you get if you open the query loop from, let's go back here, from here, and if you select query editor PHP, you will be able here to insert your parameters. Okay, the same ID applies inside the global manager. But the question is, do I have to know the code to use the global queries? And the answer, of course, is no, you don't have to. Because you can generate the parameters from the Bricks UI. So let's reopen my query and let's add some parameters. So let's choose post, let's order by publish date, ascending order, let's limit the post to 8, and let's make an offset to 1, just for the fun of it. And let's go to the bottom of the pop-up, and you see a new section here, global query loop, generate global query loop. Let's click on it, and you see that now we have a new query loop added with all the parameters that we added in the UI. So it limits the post to 8, there is an offset to 1. It's ordered by publish dates, and the order is ascending, and it targets post type post. Okay, you see that there is here a value object type post, which is not a valid parameter of WordPress. It's actually a value added by Bricks itself to manipulate the builder. It has no impact on the query, but it has no effect. So as WordPress will ignore all the the invalid parameter inside the query. So you can just ignore it. You don't have to delete it. You can leave it like that, because Advanced Themer is basically importing the exact values from the query that Bricks is using. Okay, there is no difference. I am not recreating what you what you put on the UI. I'm just importing the values that Bricks is actually using, so you are sure that the parameters are exactly the same as what you are seeing on the screen on Bricks. Okay, and you can of course save the query. Okay, what happens when you save the query? You see that now my query loops is broken because it's just a refresh issue. No, it's not a query issue, and I will demonstrate it in a second. But now if I reopen my query, you see that we have no more values in the pop-ups, but we have a new type, new query loop. And of course I can change this name. I want to change the name to Maxime1. Okay, and I save and close. And if I reopen here, my type is Maxime1. Okay, so you can name your queries as you like. And of course, you see there is a new icon here, the global query loops. If we click on it, you will see a new pop-up that will list all your global queries. Okay, and to solve this issue, the refresh issue, we're just going to apply another one, loop 1, and come back to Maxime1. And you see that now our loop is actually working. We have 8 items. The offset is probably applying. It's of course applying, and the query loop is working. Now the difference is while doing all that, we were able to do this before. Okay, what is the advantage to do this? Well, I'm going to show you what advantage there is. I'm going to remove the query and remove the query completely here. Okay, it's not working. I'm going to duplicate now the container. Okay, and I'm going to reapply the query loops. So I'm going to use query loop, my global query loops, select Maxime1, and it's applying. I'm going to the second one, use query loop, choose Maxime, and it's working again. And you can do this on all your website. You don't have to change manually one by one. Imagine you have 50 pages. You don't have to change all your applying all your loops one by one, but you can just choose your global one. And if tomorrow your client says, okay, on all your pages using this query, I don't want 8 items anymore, but I want 6 items. Well, it's really simple. Now that each block is assigned to a global query, I'm going to reopen my query manager, change my post to 6, save and close, save here, and I'm going to refresh. And now I have 6 items for each query loop. And this will apply on all the page of all your website. Okay? And I just change on one single instance in the global manager. This is basically the real advantage of query loop, of the global query loop, is that you can manage everything from a single point of interest, and you can leverage the Bricks UI to generate your basic queries, and you can also leverage the custom editor to use advanced queries that are not possible to do inside Bricks. And so you can use whether the Bricks UI, the code part, to create and manage your query loops in a more efficient and maintainable way. Okay, I hope it's clear, and I'm going to now jump on the next feature. Now it's time to talk about the box shadow generator. So let's go into changelogs, and the box shadow generator is here in the changelogs. Let's see how it works. So let's jump back to the builder. I'm going to hide this element, collapse everything, and show my box shadow section. Okay, so I only apply the background here and a simple block. Let's reveal everything. Okay, to enable the generator, we are going to click on the block, go on the box shadow field, and you see now we have a box shadow generator. By the way, to enable this, you need to go in the theme settings, element, and enable box shadow generator here. Okay, so let's go back here and open the box shadow. Okay, so you see that automatically in the preview it will apply the normally the correct background color and the background color of your item automatically. If I change it in the builder, it will reflect on the preview, and it will also scale my item correctly. So I have a square of 400, and it's exactly what I have in the builder. You see, we have two windows. So this is a generator, and I'm going to go back to it in a moment. But the first thing, the easier part, is the second window, which is the presets. Okay, just click on the preset, and you will see a bunch of different presets with different box shadows. Okay, to apply it to our element, it's really easy. We just hover on the one we want to apply, and there is an option here, quick apply. Click on it, and our box shadow has been applied. Where has it been applied? Where you can see here on the field that there is a value applied to the box shadow. Okay, let's open it to see where it applied. It applied inside the color. Let's open the color, and you see that inside the row value here, all the R code has been injected. Okay, why it has been injected here? Because inside our presets we have multi-layer box shadows which are not supported natively by bricks, so we have to use a workaround, and this workaround is to use exactly this, the raw value inside the box shadow. Okay, why do we apply this here? Because we want these values to be applied inside the bricks builder, because if I injected a new custom field for this, it wouldn't be compatible if you install Advanced Themer. In this case, even if you apply a preset from Advanced Themer and decide to install Advanced Themer in future, your box shadow is safe and it will still apply like it should. Okay, this is the reason why we are using right now this workaround. Okay, this is the first part. The really easy one is the preset. But now let's go back to the box shadow generator, and let's see what it can do with the generator itself. So, to understand correctly the generator, because it's really powerful, you have to understand that there is two steps in the creation of your box shadow. The first one is generating the layers. Okay, and you see that we have this first view, let's say, divided in two categories. The box, which is only for the preview. Okay, it won't apply on your front end inside the builder, but you can change the width of the item, the height, change the border radius, change the box color, and change the background color as well. It's just for preview. Okay, I will go back to the normal settings. So this won't apply to the box shadow, but the following settings, box shadow 1, are the one that will apply on the front end. And probably the most important setting is the number of layers you want to create. So by default we have set 5, but you can change it to 1 up to 10, and it will generate the number of layers you choose in the second step that we are going to talk in a moment. These are the general values that will apply to all your different layers. So you can set the vertical distance, and you see all the layers are affected by this value, right? Same thing for the horizontal distance. It will affect all the layers. Opacity, of course, blur, and spread. These are all values that are supported in the box shadow CSS property. And of course you can change the shadow color. Okay? For simplicity we are going to keep the black one. And you can set the box shadow inset if you want the box shadow to be inside your item and not outside. Okay? Once you have filled the general values, we are not going to apply the box shadow right now, but the first step is generate the layers. Okay? So we are going to click on generate layers, and now we have a new view which is based on each layer. So you see that we can move between each layer and apply different settings on each layer. We can add new ones if we want. We can remove the layers from here, okay? And we can apply, let's say, just for the layer 6, we can change the vertical distance, for example, or the horizontal distance, or change the color. Anything you think of, you can then manipulate each layer individually. Same thing if I want to target layer 2, I want to put it on the bottom, left, and I want to change to a color blue, for example. I'm going to say that, and I change my values, right? If I now apply box shadow, click on this button here, now the generated box shadow will be applied to my elements. And if I open box shadow again, color, all my values will be transferred inside the row control with all the layer applied, right? So this is a way to create extremely custom box shadow. You have full control over all the CSS elements layer by layer, and you are able to create really creative stuff using this. But there is an in-between way to create box shadows. Is not to create from scratch every layer and generate it by yourself. What you can do is go to the presets and choose a box shadow. Let's say some complex one. I like this one. Okay, I'm going to import the layers from the presets. Okay, and now I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting from the preset value. The layers have been correctly imported, and let's say I just want to change, I don't know, only the color of the box shadow. I'm going to change this to red. Okay, I'm going to copy this and apply it to all the layers individually. And now you see that my box shadow has been successfully changed to red. You see that this field, the shadow color, only accepts solid color, so you can't add alpha channels here, because the alpha channels is modified by the opacity. The opacity here is the alpha channel. So you can easily, this way you can easily change only the color without messing with the opacity settings. right? It will be automatically adapted to your needs. If now I apply the box shadow, you see that my correct box shadow with the red layers have been applied. And if I want to change it again, all the settings are saved in my generator. I just have to reopen and it will show the correct layer saved. Okay, so there are three ways, just to summarize our box shadow work. You can easily apply a preset with a quick apply button. You can generate from scratch all your layers and customize them individually. Or the third option is to import all the settings from a preset and change layer by layer what you need to change from this. Okay? Three ways to get to the point. Okay? I hope it's clear. The last thing I want to specify is since we are modifying a core control of bricks, that means that it will affect any environment that we are working on. So if you are working on an ID level, it will apply the box shadow on the ID level. But if you work on the class, the box shadow will be applied to the class. If you work on a pseudo element, the box shadow will be applied to the pseudo element. So since we are not I would say we are not creating any custom fields for this. We are just using a workaround to apply our multi-layer box shadows inside the Brick Builder. And since we are doing this, we are actively using the core fields of bricks, and all the function related to bricks will remain the same. And we can leverage all the benefits of bricks by using the core controls. So that's the advantage to use these methods. I hope it's clear, and I'm going to explain the new feature. Let's speak about the advanced text wrapper. What is the advanced text wrapper? Let's figure it out. Opening the changelogs, and you see that this new feature is available inside the basic text, and it will allow us to select a portion of text inside the basic text and wrap the content inside custom HTML tag. Okay, let's see how it works in the builder. To activate this function, let's go to the theme settings. We need to go in Elements, Buildertrix Elements, and activate Advanced Text Wrapper. Once this is activated, we are going to add a heading and a basic text. Click on the basic text content, and you see that on the top of the text we have a new bar with some option. Okay, the first option here is to choose the HTML tag that we want our content to be wrapped. So we have the choice to choose span, strong, an anchor link, etc. You can choose custom and add your custom tag here. For example, a div, I don't know. But for now, let's keep it simple and let's choose span. We are going to select the part of the text, like select any part, and wrap the content. And now this portion has been wrapped correctly inside a span HTML tag. Right? Let me just hide this element for now. Okay. Basic text. Right. We can also unwrap everything. So I'm going to select all the text, click on unwrap, and now my HTML tag is removed from everything. Okay. You can also add some custom attributes to your HTML tag. Let's say I want to add a color red to my span. I'm just going to add my color red. This is CSS here. I'm going to select my portion of text and click wrap. And you see that, oh, I messed up the CSS. So let's unwrap everything. Good way to show the function, because I put a second. Okay, this is a correct semantic way to write color red. Let's wrap the text again, and now you see that my select any part here is red. Okay. If you are not willing to use inline styles, which is not really maintainable, but you want to use a class, we can do this as well. We are going to remove the style tag. I'm going to create a new class. I will say red. And on this class, I'm going to add a bit of CSS color red. Okay, and I'm going to remove that class now. Let's unwrap our content, and we are clicking here add class tag, and we are looking for the red class. Select my tag, wrap, and now you see that the class red has been added to the HTML tag, and you see here on the preview that my select any part is still red. Okay, I'm going to give a couple of other examples. Let's just unwrap. Let's just select a link, an anchor link, and now you see we have a new option, add URL tag, which is an href tag. Let's click on it, and now I can here add a link, https google.com, it's better, and I'm going to select access the formatting, wrap, and you see that now access formatting is wrapped inside an anchor tag, which the correct href. It also adds target blank as a default, so you are not opening the same page, the same current page, but you force your browser to open another tab. And you also apply the class red. And indeed, if I overhit, it's a link. My pointer is now, my cursor is now a pointer, and the class has been set as red. And you could also add a specific style for it if you need to, but since we are using the class, it's working correctly. Okay, so this is a simple way to inject HTML tags inside your basic text, which you would be forced to write HTML code without it, but with this system you don't have to. And I just want to point out that also the heading is also supported, but it's only supported if you activated an option in AT, because right now, as you see, my heading is a text area, because I changed an option in Advanced Themer. And yeah, if you go inside the elements, builder tweaks, you go on the bottom, custom element settings, you see that there is an option here, set text input as text area for headings. Okay, so if you enable this option, then the advanced text wrapper will apply also on heading. If you don't apply it, it won't be a text area, and it will be a simple text input, and this the advanced text wrapper won't be applied on headings, right? I hope it's clear, and I'm jumping on the new feature. Let's talk now about templates. So let's go back to the change logs, and we see the quick save template, which is a new feature of 2.4. You have the ability to create a template from the preview window or the contextual menu from the structure panel, and it has two main advantages. Two new features. The first one is it will auto-generate a thumbnail for you, and it will show also the structure that is going to be saved inside your templates. Let's show it in action. I'm going to use my query loop, and if I, by the way, first of all, how to activate it? You go to the Builder Tricks. You see a new tab on the left, Templates. Click on it. Quick Save and Auto Generate Thumbnails. Make sure to enable it and save the settings. Now, when this option is activated and you click on a container, you'll see a new little icon in the preview window that you can click on it. And since we are here, we can also, I'm on the block, I believe, yes, right click on the container. You see that on the Save as Template row, a new icon, Quick Save, is here. If you click on it, let's do it now, a new window will pop up with the title that you can insert, the bundle, the tags, and the auto-generated thumbnail. Done for you, you don't have to activate anything. And on the right, the save structure that we intend to save inside our templates. Okay? The only field, the mandatory field, is the title, so we can say template Maxime. Okay? Click Save Template and Close. Template created successfully. If I now open templates, you'll see that my template Maxime has been saved correctly. Okay? If I go back to the theme settings, let's go to the templates now. You'll see that the new template Maxime has been saved here. Let's open it. By default, since we are saving from the preview window or the structure, the template type will be always section. You don't have to select it. And you see as a feature image here, our thumbnail has been correctly saved inside the media library and saved as a library and set as a feature image of our template post. So this is really a quick way to save your template, add a thumbnail to it automatically, check that the structure is the one that you want to save inside your template, and one click and it's done. Don't have to browse inside the template window or bricks, choose a section option, which is if you are saving from the structure, it's of course a section. Everything is done for you. One click and you are good to go. Okay? Pretty simple, but if you are using a lot of templates and viewing a preview of your design when importing the templates will save you a lot of time, guys. Believe me, it's really a little but nifty feature added to Advanced Themer. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about copy-paste, interaction, and condition. So let's check the change logs. You see that this feature copy-pastes your interaction condition settings It's a new feature from 2.4. So as you know, in Corebricks, you can't move your interaction settings or condition settings from an element to another. You have to create them from scratch over and over again. Now with this release, if you go to the theme settings again, go in elements, you can enable copy-paste interaction and condition. Make sure to save this option. And now if I go to any element, let's say I go to condition, I'm going to create a condition. Let's say dynamic data. Test equal 0. Okay. Now you see a new icon that shows up. This is from Advanced Themer, copy condition. Let's click on it. Okay. Let's move on another element, container. And you see now we have an import condition icon. Let's just click on it. And you see that our condition has been correctly imported inside this new element. Now let's do the same thing from interaction. We are going to create an interaction with a trigger click, show elements, target self. Okay. I'm going to copy the interaction, move back to my original block, and import interaction. And my click interaction has been correctly imported. Okay, so stop creating from scratch each interaction and each condition. You can just move them from one element to another. By the way, little ID, could we have a global manager for interaction and condition? This is interesting. Okay. Hope it's clear, and let's move on and let's speak about another new feature, which is the speech-to-text converter. So for the AI lovers among the community, there is a new AI feature that allows you to convert, to transcript an audio file to a text file. So make sure you have a correct API inserted in your settings, but once you are good with it, just open the AI assistant and you see a new tab, speech to text. And it's really easy. You just have to upload your audio file from here. Just choose your file from the library. You have some advanced options, like you can choose the output language, and you can also choose the temperature, which is a control from OpenAI that modifies the way it will transcribe the text. And you just click generate transcription. When it's done, it will show all the text transcribed from the audio file. Okay, I'm not doing this right now just to save some time from this already too long video, but believe me, once you generate the transcription, you will see the converted text in this window that you can then copy and paste inside the builder. Right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, so now I want to speak about the improvements made to style overview. So if you go to style overview, you see that we have a new feature here, move styles over different elements, classes, or breakpoints. Okay, and this feature is created inside the style overview. So make sure the style overview is active on your theme settings, and let's check what it is about. So let's hide this element, let's hide this one too, and let's show this one instead. I'm going to collapse everything and expand this one. Oh, no, it's not what I want to do. not this one, sorry. Let's say, okay, we were going to show this one. If I open the style overview on the block, you see that I have ID. No, I'm not going to use this one. Too complex. Okay, let's create. Let's go in the section and let's just create dummy content. Okay, flex. I'm going to add column gaps 1, 2, 3, just to apply some style to this section. Let's now open style overview. And you see we have the display flex and our 1, 2, 3 values inserted. Now the question from the community has been, how can I move all these styles from the desktop and move them, for example, on the portraits? Okay, you don't have to copy paste manually, change every time the breakpoint. You just come here and click on this 3 dots menu, copy styles, go over the tablets, paste styles, and you're done. You see that all the values have been imported inside the tablet portraits. You can now reset the styles from the desktop if you want. Reset styles, and now you effectively moved the styles from the desktop to the portraits. Okay? Now you can also move these same styles, let's just copy to be sure, on the other state, for example. I'm going to pass them on my tablet XXL breakpoint, pass styles, and you see all my styles have been installed, copied on the overview. Anyway, we have now on pseudo and on over, right? But that's not it. If we want to pass the exact same styles on my container now, I'm going to open style overview on my container. I have no style here, but if I come here and pass the styles, we will have copied from one element to another the entire style from a specific breakpoint. Okay? And now it's not finished yet. If I want to add 2 classes, let's make test1 and test2. Reopen the style overview. The style overview now shows the test1 and the test2 classes, which are empty right now. But we can copy a styles, move it from the ID to a class on any breakpoint, pass styles, and my styles is changed. Okay? If I want to change this now, let's say to 7, okay, I can copy the styles from here, pass the style on another breakpoint, for example, to test2, and you see 7 flex 3.2 have been correctly imported in test2 styles class. So you can move your entire breakpoint styles over IDs, pseudo elements, and any class you want, just by copy and pasting using this new feature. Okay, and the last thing I want to show you is, for example, on my test2 class, I will create 4, 5, 6 for the flex, string, basis, and order. Let's reopen the style overview, and you see now on my breakpoint test2 we have 5, 4, 6 now new values. Let's copy them and let's apply to test1 on the breakpoint that we used before. Pass styles, and as you see, it doesn't replace the existing styles, but it will add the styles to the existing ones. So you can effectively merge classes by just passing style from one class to another without the risk to erase the styles on the destination. but it will just copy over the style that you want to copy over the breakpoints, right? And this is true for classes, IDs, pseudo, any kind of element you want to use this feature. Okay? This is pretty neat. Let's say that you are starting to style on a breakpoint, and then you figure out that it's not the correct breakpoint. You don't have to erase all your work and redo it from scratch. Just copy the entire breakpoints, move it to another, reset the wrong one, and you're done. 5 seconds. Okay, the next one is the class manager improvements. And if you go here, we have the class manager improved with a couple of interesting things. So let's go to the builder and let's open the class manager. I want to put on the block, I believe. Okay, I'm going to set in the block. Okay, set from there. What changed? So minor user experience here. So for example, the active elements have been redesigned. They are not in, an unstyled button, but they are now like the design of the structure panel, and a couple of improvement here and there on the design. But the main thing is a couple of things. We have now the uncategorized menu item in the categories. This is what will show you all the classes that have no category assigned. So for example, if I set my test class to test, and I go to uncategorized, my test one is not inside the uncategorized category anymore. Okay, so really useful if you don't remember which classes have no active category, you can manage them from here. Okay, bulk actions. There are a lot of news here. So the first thing that you can see in the preview here is we have new buttons here. So we can now select the classes that we don't want to apply our action. So for example, if we want to rename all these classes, but you don't want to rename the red one, you can just keep them just by enabling this button. And once we run the bulk action, the red class will be ignored. Okay. Now here you see that the user experience changed a little bit. So to make things more clear, you have to understand that they are now separated between two sections. The first one is a filter section and the actions section. So the filter is meant to target the classes that you want to change. Okay, so we can include a string. Let's say I want to target test. It will target only test. If I want to exclude the 2, it will exclude the test2, but it will still include 1. You can now use the group to include or exclude your results, whether the class is locked or unlocked, if the class has styles or doesn't have styles, which is interesting if you want to exclude, for example, the framework classes that you have, and the one active on the page or inactive on the page. Okay, so you have new filter criteria that are all inside the filter tab. A new addition too is now the include string and exclude string allow multiple criteria. So let's say that I want to include test1, okay, but I also want to include test2, I will just use a comma separator and use test2, and now both my classes are targeted. Okay? The same thing is true with exclude string. So if I want to exclude test1, okay, all my classes here are included, but not test1. And if I want to exclude also test2, I can comma separate my second string, test2, and you see that it's not in the preview class anymore. Okay, so this is for the filter. Now the action is what you exactly want to do. So since we are now in the rename category, we are going to rename. The action will be rename the class. So the first thing you want to do is to find a string to rename. We'll see. Okay, let's target the test, and I want to find test, and I want to replace with Maxime. And now Maxime is now the name of the class, and of course I can add a prefix and also a suffix. Okay, and now my class is renamed correctly as I want it to be. And this is the same for all the other categories. You see that now we have always the filters and the actions for all of them. Groups, lock, we don't have the action because the action is a button. There is nothing no option to do to lock the class, but the other ones have all the action in a separate tab. Okay, I believe, okay, the last thing I want to show you is now the categories are synced with the class manager of bricks. So you see that we have bento colors test. If I now open the bricks manager, we have our bento color test, and test is correctly assigned to test1, just like advanced themer class manager. So you eventually can keep both of them active on the website. There are no conflicts that I know of. You can create your class here and they will show in the advanced themer. And the same applies for the class created in advanced themer, and the categories and everything will show up inside the global class manager from Wix. Alright, it's done for the class manager. Let's talk about improvements to the class converter. So, class converter improved this. We have now the support for nested class components. You can update your classes multiple times if you run the class converter multiple times. The group suggestion and some minor UX improvements. So let's check mainly the nested components and how it works. So I'm going to collapse everything. I believe this one is okay. As you see, I created a container section with different container, alpha, beta, and gamma. And if I'm running, let's say, the class converter here, class converter, you'll see that it will treat it as a unique component, right? So the section will apply to all our classes. And if I change my base name, let's say Maxime, all the classes will be affected here. But this is not what we want, because inside our main component we have nested components. We want alpha to be unique, and we want beta to be unique as well, and gamma too. So the way to do this, there is a new way to do this, is to select, to let the builder know that alpha is a unique component. And to do that, we have two ways. You see that we have a new, if we go back in the settings on the left side, we have a new option, class converter, and we can set this element as a root component. We can just check this toggle. And now, if I reopen my class converter, you see that I have my section. I have a new section here, components, where I have my section, all the classes that are not alpha, and alpha here, that is the root component, and all the children are now a different component from the section. Okay, but it's still not right, because you see that we have alpha, beta. We didn't toggle the root component on beta and on gamma as well. If I check gamma here, it's not correct. So let's come back here, and we can check, instead of going on the left side, you can just right click on beta, class converter. We have a new root, enable root component. I will activate it for beta, and I will also activate it for gamma. Let's click on enable root component. And now if I go to section, run the class converter, you see that we have now 3 different components and the base one, the section. And we can now assign a specific base name. We will say Maxime, just for the section and the container. But alpha has its own component here, with only the heading, basic text, and button. We can of course change the base name to alpha test, for example, and it will affect only the nested component that we selected. The same goes for beta. You see that it's highlighted beta. You can change the base name, the delimiter, and the gamma, the same thing. And it's not only about renaming your classes, but also about the feature that you are going to apply to it. So, for example, on my alpha test class, I can assign it to alpha group. Okay? And I can decide to copy the styles to the classes just for alpha test. And I can decide to erase the ID styles, yes, just for alpha test. Now on beta, I can choose another category, beta. I can now, I don't want to copy the styles, and I don't want to erase the style for them. And gamma, the same thing. Gamma, I don't want to copy the styles and erase the styles. And that's it. So we still have a default view. So the default view means that if there is no specific option set inside the components, these default values will apply. So if we decide to copy the ID styles as default, and we didn't change it on the alpha beta, okay, it will copy the styles. But since we specified for beta and gamma to don't copy the styles, it won't apply for this specific component. Okay? If I now run you can run the classes wherever you want, but I'm going to just set the default view, just to check that all my classes are correct. You can of course change any particular class individually using the input here. You can skip any class you want to. Okay, all the normal settings from previous version are applying to this one. The only thing is, you see that if you are managing multiple components on the default view, you can't change the base name, because the base name now is individually set inside each component view. Okay, as soon as I change to a component view, we can change the base name for that component only. Back to the default, we can't change the base name anymore. It's is set invalid, and you can just change the default delimiter, the class category, etc., etc. If I now run the classes, 14 classes have been created, and if I check one by one, Maxime is correct, Maxime container, but if I go in alpha, now it's alpha test, not Maxime alpha test. And the alpha is correctly created with the nested classes, beta is created with the nested classes, and gamma is created with the nested classes. All is correct. If I go to my class manager now, I see that my alpha group has been created with only the alpha classes. Same thing for beta classes, gamma, and that's it, because Maxime I didn't set any group. Okay? And of course, for example, beta, here you see that I have a button that has styles on the ID, because I specifically said, beta, I don't want to transfer the beta values, the ID values to the class. So now you can run, you just have to specify which are the root component elements. You just specify with right click and enable the toggle in the context menu, and then you can run, the class converter on your entire section, and it will automatically apply the classes divided by components, which is a huge time saver. And it was not possible to do similar things with the preview method, because you had before, if you wanted to do that, you had to open the class converter, disable only components, run it, and one time reopen the components, disable the class. You get me. It was really time consuming and not announced the right way, let's say. And okay, now we can also run multiple times the class converter. So if I just run now and I decide to copy over the ID classes and I run it, okay, we created new classes because some we changed alpha. I didn't change it like before. But now on our beta, you see that we transferred the primary style on our class, right? And if I run it again, class converter, and I want to erase the ID styles on the created one, let's say if it worked, button, oh, we erased it because style is not the CSS one. Yeah, that's probably an error that should check. But you see that now the style has been erased from the ID. Yeah, because style is a red control in Bricks, because it applies CSS, but it's not a CSS property, so it messes with the script probably. Something I need to check. Anyway, besides the style controls, normally if you run several times the class converter, it will every time add the new styles on the ID to the class. It won't erase the destination classes, it will add to them. Okay, so you can safely transfer the new ID classes to the existing class styles without fear to erase anything. Okay, that's a new addition in the class converter. Okay, let's just check now the plain converter. the plain converter, the plain class. Okay. Sorry. And it's here, more use classes suggested and group filter. So the plain classes filter has been slightly improved. And let's check it. So you can now, to activate plain class, you need to be on the ID level, plain classes. And you see that it's a bit changed compared to before. So we have now two new sections, the most used one, and the possibility to search and filter classes from a string and a group. Okay, so for example, if I want now to add, sorry, wrong click. I want to add classes from the alpha group. I'm just going to choose alpha, and you see that all the alpha classes are suggested. Now when I click on them, it will automatically add them to my classes. And if I update classes, my alpha classes are added to my elements. If I open back classes, you see that we have a list of the most used classes on this page. So since grid block has been used, we can see here, has been used 6 times here. Okay, and it will look. Sorry, I will come back. Where I was, I can't remember where I was. Well, anyway, it doesn't make any change. If I come back here, you see that my grid block is the first one, the most used class on my page. And since I just added the alpha classes on a bunch of another element, there are at least 2 alpha classes added on this page, and you see that they are ordered by the number of times they are used inside the class, inside the page, sorry. So why is it interesting? If you have a class that you are using over and over, okay, instead of typing it, you can just open the plain class feature, and it will show up as the most used of the class. You just have to click on it, and it will add to the class. And as soon as you add this class here, update classes, and reopen the plain classes, you see that these classes, once active on the element, will show as yellow. So you know, just by looking this list of classes, you know which one are already applied to the active element. Okay, so you can't, even if you click on them, okay, and you add them 3 times, update classes, you see that you won't have 3 times the same classes. It filters the already existing classes and won't duplicate them again. Okay, this is important. As if we reopen it, you see that alpha test adding is just added 1 time. Okay, this is for the plain classes. Let's now check the find and replace improvement. So we see find and replace improvement here. You see that we can now update values inside global classes. And this is interesting because if you want to change a specific parameter from a CSS, for example, CSS control, until now find and replace just worked on the ID level, and you weren't able to change values from a class. But now find and replace also work inside a class. So let's say I'm going to go alpha test my basic here, and I'm going to change my width to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to section, find and replace, and I want to replace this value 1, 2, 3, 4 with 5, 6, 7, 8, all properties, all categories on the all page, and here is the new option, including the values inside the global classes attached to each element. We'll say yes, we want to search to find the value inside the global classes that are attached to these elements and replace it. So find and replace. And now I can't remember, of course, which element was it. Oh, it was this one, right? I believe. Okay, it was this one. Okay, and now the width is correctly replaced by 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is really cool. If you just want to change a value, let's say for example you decided to change a variable, okay, and you change var from test1, let's say, okay, and for some reason you decide to change the name of the value or the variable, or the value will be incorrect until you just find and replace. You just insert var test1, we'll replace it with var test2. I want to include it inside the classes, find and replace. If I check back my alpha test basic, var test2 is correctly changed. You don't have to manually go element by element, look after your variable and change the name just because you change the variable. Find and replace on the old website, just put your variable name, the old one, replace it with the new one, and done. Okay, so it can be a really big time saver. Bear with me, guys, we are quite finished, but there are still a couple of things I want to show you. The one thing I want to show you is the structure helper improved, and if you go to the panel, open the structure helper, you see we have new icons here. This one will enable the highlight by default, so we will highlight all the items, and we can add two things here, the HTML tags. So if you have no tag manager enabled on your structure, you can still display them inside the structure helper here to help you see which HTML tag is associated to which element. But of course you can add the show IDs. This will show you all the IDs attached to each element, and you can have an overview of all the IDs of each element in your structure and copy any ID to your clipboard and then paste it inside your fields. Okay, this is really quick. Now the element shortcuts. So element shortcut improved. You see that we have now a new text link icon. Let's go into theme settings. If we go in the structure panel from the builder tweaks, you see that there is a new icon, text link, and in the builder, if it's enabled, you have a text link icon here to add a text link. Okay. Now indicators of styles improved. I will show you what I mean by this. You can now have several, let's go to changelog. We can have indicators of styles. We can have group tabs indicators, different indicators for ID and classes, and indicators between classes. So let's make some examples. I will set here 1, 2, 3 on the ID level, and I'm going to create a class with B Maxime. I don't know if it exists already, Maxime 2. Okay. Now when I create this class, you see that we have new indicators here that some styles have been already styled on the ID level. And that's why it's red, is because even if you add 2, 3, 4 here, it won't apply because the priority will be on the ID level, not on the class. So you have an indicator that will show you that these styles are already styled on the ID level. Okay, if we now add 4, 5, 6 on the flex input, and we come back on the IDE, you see that we have the blue dots. This means the blue dots means that this value is already changed on the class level. Okay, if you add here the values, it will have the priority over the class. That's why they are blue. They are an indicator that it's already changed from the class, but if you decide to override this value, it will apply, of course. Okay, now let's create maxim 3. Okay, and if I create maxim 3, you see that we have the indicators that on the red dots means that there is styles applied on the ID level, but we also have blue indicators. That means that these styles are already applied on another class, and it's maxim 2. If it's maxim 2, I see 5, 4, 6, 4, 5, 6. If I change to maxim 3, we don't see the preview of the value because this is something managed by bricks, but AT is able to see that flex is already changed on another class. So now if you click on this value, you might overwrite the styles applied from the other class, and you will have competing styles from 2 classes. Okay, so these are the different indicators based whether you are on ID, on the classes, or between multiple classes. Now if you go in style, let's go back on the ID level, and I want to add a width value. Let's make 100. Okay, and I go back to maxim 2. You see that we have a red dot that says we have style on the width, but now we have also a red dot on the category itself. So if I only see the categories, I can see that since I'm on the class level right now, there are styles, there are layout styles applied. And if you open it, you can see which one is the style applied. So not only an indicator on the control itself, but also on the parent category that shows that styles are applied here. Okay, that's done for the indicators. The resource panel, really quick in the changelog. The resource panel is here. There is a new zoom slider I want to show you. Since it was asked in my bento grid video I did last month, I made a couple of improvements. If you open the resource panel here, I have some screenshot I added to my resource panel right now. If I open it, you see that I have a slider here on the top, and I can resize the image I'm watching. If you remember from the video, there was also kind of conflict when I opened, let's say I'm on the grid. Okay, let me check just the shortcut of the resource is Control Command X. This right? Okay. You remember if I open the grid builder and now I wanted to check the resource panel, this would have closed the grid builder panel. But now if I close this, I'm still on the grid builder panel. So I can go over one and another without closing the active panel. The resource is independent from the other. So if I open another one, I don't know, the color manager, and I open the resource panel, the color manager will still be open. Okay? The grid guides. Okay, the grid guide, there was sometime an error because the grid guides was starting. It wasn't covering all the available space. Maybe if you had a header or footer, it was kind of cropped, and now this has been fixed. And also, an important feature is I will show the change logs. The import export has been improved because now we added a new option in the global settings, import export. Now you have the possibility to override existing settings, and it's set to no by default. That means that if you want to import global classes or import variables, theme styles, or anything from here, theme settings or color palettes, if you don't activate override existing settings, during the import process, the script will check which one are the new ones, and it will only add the ones that are not added yet to your configuration. Okay, and like this, it won't override the existing classes, the existing palettes, and the existing theme settings, etc., etc. Okay. However, if you activate this option and then import the settings, first the script will delete your existing settings, so the existing global classes, the existing theme styles, etc., etc., and then it will import the one that you are importing from the JSON file. Okay, so you have the choice. If you want to start from scratch, you can enable override existing settings. If you want to add previous settings to the actual one without messing with your actual configuration, make sure to disable override existing settings. Okay, the last thing, and we are done, guys, I promise. I want to point out that the front-end playground has been deprecated, so it doesn't exist anymore in your settings. There is no option in the global settings, there is no option in the tabs, there is no way to activate front-end anymore. Why? Because the front-end playground was used mainly to manage the dark mode with the variables, and since now the color manager is doing everything inside the builder, the front-end playground isn't really needed anymore, and it was left over with it wasn't developed anymore, so sometimes it shows wrong values, and it's not something I want to keep maintaining because the value is really poor right now, and all the other features that have been introduced this year are far more superior in terms of value, and so since I ran a poll inside the Facebook group for the last month, and 100% of people voted to deprecate it, and I'm quite confident that nobody is really using it, and that's why it's deprecated. Bye bye front-end playground. Okay. Okay, guys, it's the end. It's finally the end, and I hope you find these features useful. As you can see, it was a month without releases, but I continued working on them, and I think good part of them are game changer in your workflow, and it will continue to save you time, to enables some precious feature to keep your site maintainable in the time, and overall be a better developer with these tools. So guys, I hope you enjoy it, and feel free to leave a comment below if you like it, or if you would suggest some improvements, and see you around, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.